197 deaths in Canada. 1,475 have been in long-term care homes. That is 67% of the total number. Only 722 people have not died in nursing home. This is a national disgrace. CTV's Avery Haynes has been investigating the demise of our nursing homes and joins me now. Avery, for all the homes we hear about, there are still so many that are just coming to light and clearly need urgent help. So give us some perspective on that.
Well, you're absolutely right, Lisa. I mean, so many of these tragedies that are unfolding in long-term care facilities are happening under this sort of cloak of silence. You know, the residents don't have a voice. The staff has been silenced. The families are desperately, literally on the outside looking in. Earlier this morning, I got a chance to spend some time at one long-term care facility in downtown Toronto, where they are currently in an outbreak, where we are seeing that the people, many of the residents who are the family members of the residents who are inside, are actually outside of the home, standing there, not only cheering on the employees who are coming into work, but also begging for help. This Mong Xiang Home for the Aged is one of the first homes in Ontario that had an outbreak early on in April. Now, I've just learned that yet another resident has died, bringing the number to 24. 50 residents, about half of the population, have tested positive. The facility there is operating with a skeleton staff that has been reduced by 80%. This, what you're looking at right now, Lisa, are the quotes of what they would like to say to their family members there. And one of the residents who lived in there, who you're looking at now, he is 111 years old. Phoon Hai Lum. She is one of the oldest living Canadians. She survived the Spanish flu, multiple wars, the Cultural Revolution in China, and lived independently until only 4 years ago. I had a chance to speak to her granddaughter, Helen, who is pleading for politicians to stop talking and start acting.
The bodies are going out the door and nobody's coming in to help these people. But we've been waiting and waiting and waiting and seeing the number of deaths rise and rise. How long can these seniors last? How long can my grandmother last? She's 111. She barely weighs 87 pounds maybe. If you're down to 20% of your staff, how hydrated are these people going to be? If you have one person on a 12-hour shift, this has to stop.
Dignity that we are seeing just disappear for these people that are part of our history, Avery. And we now know that there's still only those 5 care homes that are going to get military support. We saw that big poster, handmade poster, send in the SWAT team. Well, here's where the SWAT team is going now. We've just found out in Ontario, Orchard Villa in Pickering, Altamont Care Community in Scarborough, Eatonville in Etobicoke, Hawthorne Place in North York, Holland Christian Homes, Grace Manor in Brampton. But I mean, the question is, how many deaths does it take to get the military in there to help?
You know, Lisa, that announcement was made by Premier Ford 9 days ago. The announcement that SWAT teams were going to be coming in, that the military was going to be brought in to help these residents in these homes. We're talking about hundreds of outbreaks across this country. And the families there that I was speaking to believed that when they heard the Premier talking about this 9 days ago, that help was going to come the next day or the next day or the next day. And meanwhile, as you heard Helen saying, the bodies are piling up. Those PSWs, the people who are working in that facility right now, they're also responsible for not only taking care of the people who are living there, but wrapping up the bodies of those who have died and bringing them downstairs so that funeral directors can take them away because they're no longer allowed in the home.
This is just honestly a devastating situation on so many levels, in so many places, in so many communities across this province. And you mentioned Premier Ford. His own mother-in-law is at West Park Long-Term Care Home in Toronto. So it sort of adds a layer, Avery. I mean, this could not be more personal.
And I think that, one of the gentlemen that I was speaking to yesterday, a doctor whose mom and dad are both inside this facility, with tears streaming down his face, he described the scene of speaking to his dad and looking up at him in the window on the 3rd floor of this facility and saying his final goodbye to his father. His father passed away on April 7th, April 8th. There were 6 tests given to this facility. Of 105 residents inside this home, his mother has now tested COVID positive. He doesn't know if he'll see her again. You know, I mean, this focus on hospitals, when we're recognizing, and we have been for a very long time, that the front line of this epidemic is not in the hospital, it's in the long-term care facilities. And when it takes 9 days, and you even heard the Prime Minister talking today about how they were going to be mapping out strategies for getting the military involved, time is running out. I mean, people are dying.
And these personal support workers, like to see the people at that home where you were early this morning, cheering on the brave staff that are still willing to go into these homes really at risk. I mean, we still don't really have a good idea of how much of the PPE they're actually receiving in those homes.
You know, so they're operating on 20% staff. There have been times in the last number of weeks where there has not been a personal support worker in that facility overnight. I mean, that's just unconscionable. And when you think about what it's like for now, hundreds of thousands of families across the country who are literally outside of the building while their parents are dying inside. And we hear all of these politicians talking about we need to get help in there. And as Helen so eloquently said, the time for speaking has finished. It's time to get into these homes and give the support that's needed to PSWs who have been long ignored, underpaid, and overworked for decades.
So true, Avery. And we are still, as a nation, wrapping our mind around the idea that we are sending troops, soldiers who've been in war zones into long-term care homes in our own country. Honestly, this is the legacy, though, of COVID-19 in Canada, and the worst hit province is Quebec. And I want to go to